What is going on, NFL fans, Atlanta Falcons fans, man? Y'all know who it is, your boy Antoine Smith. Stopping in to get my thoughts on a video from an NFL insider, Ari Meirov. He's always on Twitter. He's an NFL insider on the 33rd team, and he always gives his thoughts on NFL teams. And he was on his podcast yesterday on his channel on YouTube, and y'all can go check that out. We talked about Atlanta Falcons in the future, man, and the crazy thing about it, I was right. Everything that he said, I said weeks and months ago. But I'm gonna let y'all hear what he got to say, and then we're gonna give our quick thoughts.
Today. And let me start in Atlanta with the Atlanta Falcons, who have now lost 5 straight games. They found out over here on Monday morning that their quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., is going to undergo a procedure, most likely on his knee, for an injury here that happened on Sunday versus the Panthers. It sounds like it's an ACL injury. At the moment, it's a partial torn ACL, but he's going to have a second opinion to figure this out. It's been a rough go for the Atlanta Falcons, who early on in the year, they had some impressive wins, including a Monday night game over the Buffalo Bills, but they've had some really embarrassing performances, including a 30-0 loss to the Panthers, including a disgustingly bad loss to the Miami Dolphins when they were out of control as an organization. They've had some really, really troubling losses. And when you look at this organization from top to bottom, that includes President Rich McKay down to GM Terry Fontenot to head coach Raheem Morris. There's been a lot of situations here, decisions that they've made over here that I think are coming back to bite them. From the Kirk Cousins contract, which has been an abomination from the start, to the all those first round draft picks of all their stud players in some cases of Drake London and Bijan Robinson, and then some of the more disappointments like a Kyle Pitts, and then Michael Penix Jr., who was still a question mark, who always had those injury questions. When the offense is not performing the way it should, when you have all those type of players, including a bunch of offensive linemen on the first, who are first round picks and second round picks as well, that creates a lot of questions. And then, of course, they made significant moves on the defensive side of the ball this past offseason, trading away a future first round pick to get James Pierce Jr. to pair him up with Jalen Walker, who they picked in the first round earlier. The defense better be like a top 5 defense for that to be considered a success. And they are second in the NFL in sacks, but when it comes to yards per game and all those other different types of stats, they are middle of the pack right now in the NFL. And the way they handled this rebuild and roster and putting it all together, if you're not going to be winning, it's a reckless way to do it and eventually comes back to bite you. So Arthur Blank, the owner, he's going to have a very, very tough decision of year to make on these two and really 3 people, from Rich McKay, the president as well, who's been there for a long time, really his right-hand man, down to the GM and Terry Fontenot, who's hired 2 coaches from Arthur Smith to as well with Raheem Morris and Raheem Morris as well over here, because of how this has all gone so far. And I'll remind everybody, the last time the Falcons had a head coach search, their list included Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Jim Harbaugh. They interviewed all those guys, and eventually they landed on Raheem Morris. So,
Well, now that we got that thought out of the way, man, I told y'all it's just something that I've been talking about a while. Myself, A1 Forever, man, about the future of this franchise, man, and will they move forward? What is Michael Penix's future looking like? And will Kirk Cousins be back next year? And um, honestly, he broke it down perfect. You look at the roster that they've put together, man. Had a very good offseason this past offseason. Well, really, had 2 good offseason back to back. And this draft, what they got these defensive stars, future stars, they knew it was win now. But the thing about win now, you got to produce and you got to have the right coach in place. And like they said, man, if you watch the video, they didn't want Kirk Cousins to see the field this year. And honestly, I said that God knows how long ago, that I thought that was a bad move if he seen the field. And this is why, he wanted to trade out of Atlanta, because he knew he possibly couldn't see the field if Michael Penix stayed healthy. Well, guess what? Michael Penix hurt his knee, bone bruise, and now it's PCL and possibly ACL. But I'm going to drop a video on that to give y'all the truth on that. But when you look at the front office, man, and we've been saying it, Rich McKay, He's probably one of the biggest problems. He's Arthur Blake's right-hand man. And y'all got to remember he has multiple jobs, so he's dipping and dabbing into this and that. And as he told y'all, he's at Father Branch only once a week. And when you have input, when you have a voice as to what is done in the front office, you need to be around a little bit more than that to see what's going on with your players. No matter if it's injuries, no matter if it's any other concerns, you need to be around a little bit more. So if Arthur Blank is going to take advice from Rich McKay, make sure he got his ducks in a row. And you can't have your ducks in a row if you're not in the building. So when you look at how they built the team, B. John Robinson, Kyle Pitts, then you look at Michael Penix, Drake London, and all these guys that they drafted the last 4 years, offensive skill position players. I think you got to produce on that. And to put the wrong piece in place to try to coach these guys and develop these guys was a major mistake by Raheem Morris. And we on the show, we try to give him a little bit of grace. But when he showed us last year in the Saints game that he couldn't beat a team that lost 7 straight games, that was a telltale sign of what was to come. Because ever since that game, we were 5-13. So when you look at also the other aspects of the game, defense, like I said, early on, top 5 defense. But about the last 5 games, they've been near the middle of the road to, the 20 range. And the rush defense is near the bottom of the league now. So when you don't have a competent leader, and he said it himself, what can you do to offset what's going on? So as we take a look forward, A1 said it on the previous show. Could it mean Kirk Cousins coming back? Possibly. But with $10 million, I don't see him doing it, and he doesn't want to be here anyway. So could you be in line for a veteran bridge quarterback, or could you go out and draft another quarterback? And that depends on who's there on day 2, because I think day 2 would be a time that you would go look for a quarterback. Now, what's going on now with Kirk Cousins? We've seen the last 2 starts that he's had. He's not the same guy he was from 6-3 last year. And Dr. Chow, he talked about Kirk Cousins' injury on a podcast, and on the Believe podcast with Michael Turner and Ovi Mahaley, about he saw the injury and he saw it. And so if he saw the injury and how it occurred in New Orleans, why didn't the Falcons medical staff see it? And they probably asked him, was he good to go? And he says yes, because he wanted the money. But at the same time, you got to be more observant. So I think overall, they dropped the ball by bringing back Morris. And as I told y'all, another thing that was discussed in this video were the coaches that they passed over. And I told y'all, one thing about Atlanta, they don't have structure. And the coaches that they named came from organizations that had structure. You talk about Mike McDonough, who's in Seattle, comes from Baltimore. Bill Belichick built the dynasty with Tom Brady in New England. Mike Vrabel, who's right there now, busting down the team, building that team back. But at the same time, they're like 8-2. So structure, aggressiveness, and grit is just something that you need on your team, especially in a gladiator sport. So I just don't think that Raheem Morris was the right choice of all these guys, and I said that God knows how many times.
Father, fuck you, man.
And look, other people are starting to catch on to it, because at the end of the day, you only as good as my boy say, good as what your record say. So at 5-13 in the last 18 games, why should you go forward with Raheem Morris? I don't care if he wins. We have about, I think, 7 more games. I don't care if he goes 5-2. He's still not that guy. And we don't know what's going to happen with Mike Penix. So the Falcons could be back at the drawing board, and a lot of people are going to be on the hot seat this offseason. And I just can't wait to see how they hold their feet to the fire, because Arthur Blank has to make moves, or he's possibly going to lose this fan base. And ticket sales are important to keeping things in order as far as winning keeps everything in place as far as fans, ticket prices, and just selling out events. But again, y'all please go check that interview out. Very, very informative. And what I'm gonna name this video, I was right. Because if other people are catching on right now, hey, what can I say? But y'all know what to do, man. Drop those comments in the comment box. Let's debate, let's have fun as always, man. Y'all know how we do it on the Sports Machine. This your boy Antoine Smith signing off. I will holler at y'all soon, man. Peace.